conviction or convicted and verdict. Remember the V sound. Verdict. 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 The verdict has been reached. The jury has reached a verdict. What is the verdict? The verdict is guilty. If that is the verdict can be guilty or not guilty. There could be two verdicts. The jury said guilty. He is the man who robbed the bank. Or the jury comes out not guilty. He is not, in the mind of the jury, the man who robbed the bank. Not guilty. So in that case, you would see the guy go, the happiest guy in Bangkok. Not guilty. So a verdict was reached, and if he was guilty, that means he was convicted. He was convicted if the verdict is guilty. But you can have a verdict that is not guilty. Morning. Therefore, not convicted. It depends on if the verdict is guilty and he is found guilty of the robbery and he is the one who committed the robbery, then he has been convicted. Guilty. But if he's found not guilty, if the verdict is not guilty, they're saying he is not the man who robbed the bank, therefore he is not convicted. So while a verdict can be reached, it could be two things. If the verdict is guilty, then he has been convicted. But if the verdict is not guilty, then he has not been convicted. So so therefore, convicted and verdict are not exactly the same thing. You can have a verdict and he's not convicted. So every time there's a verdict, doesn't mean convicted. The verdict can be not guilty, not convicted. Innocent, goodbye, out the door. So it's just a little different.
Convicted is from the judge, but verdict is from the jury.
Well, when the jury reaches a verdict, then
the judge give the verdict first. Give the convicted first.
No. The jury, the judge does not give, in the case of a jury trial, the judge does not make the decision. The jury makes the decision. So the judge will ask the jury, have you reached a verdict? And the foreman of the jury, the person in charge of the jury, of the 12 people, will stand up and say, yes, Your Honor, we have reached a verdict. And the judge will say, well, what is the verdict? We find the defendant not guilty. Ah. So that is the verdict, not guilty. So he's not convicted. He's innocent. He didn't do it. Find somebody else. Verdict. 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 Any questions about this? Conviction. Convicted. Verdict. Guilty. Responsible for the robbery. Not guilty. Not responsible for the robbery. Okay, any other questions? wander.
Wander.
There were two words we discussed yesterday. One was wonder,
Wander.
and this is wander.
Wander.
W-A-N-D-E-R, wander. Wander, to roam about with no distinctive, direct goal or purpose in going somewhere. You're not really going directly to the store or directly to the airport. To wander is to just roam about. No, for example, if you were dropped off at the mall, somebody said, would you like to, we'll take you over, I've got to go to the airport to pick up my friend. I'll drop you off at the mall and I'll pick you up in an hour, okay? The shopping mall, big place. And so what does the person do? He gets out and he wanders through the mall. One store, another store, wander, look at things, boom, 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 wander about. No specific person, a purpose. He didn't go to the mall to buy a shirt or to buy a radio or anything like that. He just went to the store to wander about and is basically killing time
Killing time. Oh, yeah.
at the mall till somebody picks him up in an hour.
Walk without point.
But
Yes, walk without point.
walk without purpose or point,
Yeah.
just wander around.
Wander around.
You can roam through the streets of Bangkok, up one street, down the other, all around. A tourist is roaming through the streets, looking at the buildings and everything like that. No specific place to go, just roaming. A roamer, somebody that wanders through, wandering around. I'll just wander around, you'll come back and pick me up. Wander. You can wander all over the world in a way, just go anywhere. Doesn't matter, I'm just wandering. Any other questions about this? Wander, roam, just go about, no specific purpose. Any other questions about any other word? Yes, Mrs. Singh.
Teacher, up in early morning, I saw the TV. It told that today is China Television Day, and state that it hurt, it could, but
What is that?
the Tokyo or something like that told the American of the place. I do what hey. Could you understand that?
In China,
Yeah.
the anniversary?
Now, could private American of the state
Go up into,
by what? By
very good.
with nuclear
Very good.
I will fight him.
China will,
Fight.
you're chewing too many peanuts.
No,
No.
because I
She-
read the
ไม่
bed.
ฟันก็ไม่มีฟัน
He's eating peanuts.
No,
He has no teeth.
I read the oh, he,
False teeth.
ah,
Yo, no. No, they're not false teeth.
อ่า
No.
oh,
Okay. Place is getting scary, I'd say. What's a guy like me doing in a place like this? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I agree. Anyway, you can take your seat.
you have the blue online.
Okay, all right. Good luck to you, Mr. Singh. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, take care. Oh, okay. Not leaving, okay. Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. Whatever. Anybody else have a question?
Go,
Guilty or not? Wandering. Conviction, convicted, verdict. The result, the decision has been made. Don't forget the B sound. Verdict. B, verdict. Some people will want to say wordic, word, no. Ver. Okay. Any other questions about what we discussed the other day? Oh, good morning. Morning. We'll go over 3 or 4 words in yesterday's Bangkok Post, the English language paper. And there was a horrible car crash or van crash and in Thailand yesterday. A horror crash spurs action. What is spurs? We discussed that before. Spurs action. Spurs action. S-P-U-R-S. Spurs. So a bad crash spurs action. Pushes something forward. To spur is to give motion and to push something forward. So where there was maybe no action, this crash, which killed a number of people, has spurred action. In other words, caused the government to do something about trying to stop serious accidents. Remember, I told you a while ago that when said people riding horses, the boot would have a spur. The boot. Spurs on the boot, so when they're riding the horse is walking. They put the spurs, right?
Yes.
The spurs, and then all of a sudden, the horse starts to move faster and faster. Because the horse has been spurred on to go faster. And in this case, the horror crash spurs action on the part of the government. Oh, we've got to do something about these crashes to stop them in some fashion, in some way. Scholar urges help for Thai student detained in Cairo. Detained in Cairo. Where is Cairo? Cairo. Cairo. No, it's not a country, but it's in a country.
Capital.
Huh?
Capital city. Capital city.
Capital city. Egypt.
Yes.
Detained in Cairo, Egypt. Capital city of Egypt. What does it mean to be detained? Detained. He is being detained. 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 What it says, a Thai student, scholar urges help for Thai student being detained in Cairo. Well, for some reason, a Thai student is in Cairo. And if you read the article, there are many Thai students in Cairo studying at various schools. I was surprised when I saw that. But to be detained is to be stopped and held by somebody. In this case, he's being detained by the police. You can be detained by immigration. You can come up to immigration and try to get in, and they say, whoa, wait a minute. This visa is expired. Oh, it is? Oh, it is? Step over to the immigration office. In other words, okay, then you're sitting in a chair. Instead of going through and getting on a bus and going to Bangkok, you're sitting in you've been detained, held up, stopped for a reason. You could be stopped by the police and detained by immigration. Depends on the situation. Detained by police. Detained by immigration. Spur to action. Move on quickly. A couple more. Saudi strikes top agenda at UN meet. Saudi strikes top agenda at UN meet. Saudi strikes top agenda at UN meet. The UN would be the United Nations, the UN. And a meet would be a meeting of the United Nations. The Saudi strikes, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago in Saudi Arabia, all of a sudden drones come over and ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. They struck the Saudi oil manufacturing fields and caused a lot of destruction in Saudi Arabia. So those oil development spots were struck by the drones. But what is an agenda? There's agendas all over. What is an agenda?
It's a meeting.
Well, it's in a meeting. You go to a meeting, right? A meeting of teachers, a meeting of students, a meeting of any group. When you go to the meeting, there's a reason for the meeting. It's not just to stare at everybody. Who are you? No, there's a reason for the meeting. Usually, there'll be 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5 different things that they want to discuss at the meeting. And so, Saudi strikes top agenda at UN meeting. The agenda is the list of things that will be discussed. What is the agenda for the meeting? Well, we're going to talk about annual leave and vacation for the teachers. We're going to talk about a salary increase for the teachers. We're going to talk about a change in hours in the day for the instruction. And we're going to talk about other benefits that the teachers deserve in the classroom, such as better lighting, better seating, or something like that. That is the agenda. Those are the things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that we're going to discuss at the meeting. We will have a very definite agenda, so that when the UN held its meeting just a couple of weeks ago in New York, the attacks on the Saudi oil fields topped the agenda. Number 1, attacks on Saudi oil fields. Number 2, something else. Number 3, something else. Number 4, something else. That was the agenda, the list of things that will be discussed in a meeting. So you go to the meeting, there's a reason. What are the reasons? Well, here's the agenda, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's why we'll be having the meeting. And the agenda is set out on the paper that you are receiving. Any questions about that? Agenda.
May I first back to the 2 headlines before. One is spur. What the meaning of the headline? Spur
Action.
action.
In other words, there was a very, very serious accident, car accident. Many people were killed. So the government is looking at that. Oh my gosh, what happened? Oh, the van was overloaded. There were too many people in the van. Well, did anybody? No one did a thing. That's when they had the accident. That's why so many people were killed. So that accident's, we got to do something. Maybe we should look at the rules about how many people can ride in a van and change the number and reduce it. In other words, that accident caused the government, we got to do something. It was like a kick, a spur to act.
To do something.
If there was no accident, just sitting, everything's fine, no problem. We got to do something. They were spurred on to act.
Spur on to do something.
Right. In other words, push. To, this caused us to react, to do something. Just like if you spurred the horse will start going faster.
And the second headline is student detained in Cairo.
Detained.
Was detained, or were
Detained.
detained, the Thai student were detained.
One Thai student was
Only
detained,
one,
held by the police for a reason. Could be anything, but he is detained. And they're asking the government to help get him out. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
And one more. This is in Hong Kong. Big day in Hong Kong. Will they do anything today? The 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China? Or will it just pass? No problem. Hard to say right now, it's still early. Hong Kong leads rallies. There are rallies apparently all over the world about this Hong Kong situation. Defy threats. What is a threat? A threat. threat. A threat defies the threats. A threat. Have you ever been threatened? Wow, very lucky. Whoa. A threat would be if the teacher said, if you speak again in class, if you speak out of turn again in class, I'm going to hit you over the head with a book, with a dictionary that's this thick. Boom! Oh, did you hear what the teacher said? He's going to hit me over the head with a book if I say, if I say something in class. He threatened me. A threat. A warning, in a way, that if you do something that I am against, I will either punish you, I will hit you, or I will kill you. Maybe. But that is a threat. The man was threatened with a knife. If you don't give me the money, I'm going to kill you. With the knife, poised right there. If you don't give me your wallet, or you're dead. Oh, he was threatened. A threat was made. Some threats are mild. Like if you don't stop talking, you'll have to leave the class. But other threats can be quite serious. Give me the money or you're dead. Ooh, here's the money. He threatened me with a gun. Threatened me with a gun. So I had no choice. I had to give him the money. A threat was made. There can be many different kinds of threats. They can be a threat to kill or a threat to scare somebody into doing something. A threat was made. In this case, Hong Kong defied the threats. They said, we're not worried about the threats. The police say they're going to arrest us, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. We don't care. We're still demonstrating. They defied the threats. Any questions about that? So we'll see what happens today in Hong Kong, if anything. The threats of the police could spur Hong Kong protesters into action. If they make the threats, that could be enough to boom, the protesters to do something. We'll have to wait and see. Detained, held. We have a very important agenda. We're discussing three major things. Boom. The agenda for the meeting. Okay?